Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pineapple Podcast. I'm Mitch Parmasar, your host, and I thank you very much for joining with us today. It's our first podcast, and I have my good friend Laura Stewart, who is going to be sitting in with me as we go through what is Pineapple Podcast about, where we can be located, some of the topics that we'll cover, and some of the guests that we'll be inviting on as we grow our podcast. More importantly, folks, I really, really want you to share your opinions, both good and bad, because again, it's a learning experience and we can also grow from this. We can bring people on as you sort of suggest to us. But I want to build this community and I want to share with you guys and I want you to share with me as well. So I'm looking forward to growing. And like I said, this is episode 1 and we will continue from here. Guys, have a great day and enjoy the podcast.
Okay, Mitch Parmasar, tell me a little bit about your backstory and how you came to be where you are today.
Well, Laura, first of all, thank you very much for stepping into this podcast with me. I really look forward to chatting with you. So a bit of my backstory, basically for me, it's always been about mindset. When I look at my journey coming through the corporate world, building myself up from basically a junior role into a director's role over the last 15, 20 years of my career, I'm in a space now where I want to take the next leap. So funny enough, I made some bold moves, let's say, and I've started to come into this journey or in this space as a real estate investor. But funny enough, I also am a certified personal development coach, and I certified with Jack Canfield. And I thought, why not marry both of them together? So now I have the opportunity to work with great people like you as well in order to sort of bring together that whole piece about the real estate world and then about the mindset around how do you build yourself, how do you grow, how do you break free from the limitations that we always set about ourselves. And so I'm really excited about it because I feel like there's so much energy, there's so much ability for us to do so much with our lives that I'm really excited to connect with people. I'm really excited to show them that you can lead your way into mindset from just about any angle. And I've done it. So, the demonstration of being able to move and grow in your corporate world is great because it is a blessing in itself. But while doing that, simultaneously has always been investing in myself, investing in my mindset, and investing in real estate, because that's basically what we love to do, right? And so now today we're in a stage where we're going to grow even more. We're going to push our boundaries even more. So I am just excited to share my experiences, share my journey with other people. And if you want to come along and learn, this is what it's about. So I'm going to be giving you insights in terms of who am I? Where did I start? How am I going to build this business forward and share with you? I mean, honestly, there's no better way to do sharing than to do it through this podcasting medium. So that's kind of like, the background briefly, I guess, over where I've started and where I'd like to continue moving ahead with this,
Based on what you said, it sounds like you've got a lot of different experience doing a lot of different things. I know that you're a big believer in mindset. You've mentioned this many times in our many, many conversations that we've had together. Why did you want to focus on mindset and not just the real estate aspect of investing?
Laura, that's a good question. And the reason why is because as I work with other people in this space, helping them, coaching them, and getting them ready for taking the next big step, really and truly, the biggest challenge has been, how do they get over that hurdle that just prevents them from signing on the document? Fear, analysis by paralysis, it really does eat into people, especially as you begin the journey, right? Suddenly you're signing $1 million deal or you're signing a $2 million deal. And when it's time to put that pen to the paper, you realize, oh my God, this is a big commitment. I have mortgages to see about. Can I sustain this? Would I be okay if things went wrong? And so all of these mental blocks or mental questions come, and it becomes really real to all of us, right? It's not just the people. And I found that the challenge has been, how do I overcome that? What can I do to really set myself to have that confidence to break through from the fears, And so for me, it's like, I can teach you the process, no problem. We have enough resources in the real estate world to learn quickly. What are the steps in closing a deal? What are the steps in doing a BRRRR? What are the steps in getting a mortgage? But what blocks us many times is when it becomes real and you feel like it's a big step and you feel like you're alone, that's when you get blocked. And sometimes you walk away, you retract, you go back into your shell. So I just want people to be able to explode, to understand that you have a support system, that your confidence is inside of you, that if you do the right diligences, you can push yourself forward. And to me, it breaks free all of us. The other thing with it too is with mindset, a lot of times you'll talk to investors and entrepreneurs as a whole. They don't know where to go sometimes because they feel blocked. I've done this deal. I've done 2 of these deals. I've done many of this strategy, and I'm not sure where to go. So again, what's the limitation? It's mindset. At the end of the day, really and truly, if you think about it, everything begins with a thought. So I can actually help people figure out that thought and get moving and get going, and then push away all of the limitations, push away all of the fears. And really all it is, it's a sounding board at the end of the day, right? Because as you could appreciate, we have challenges, we need to make decisions. And in real estate, the deal waits on nobody, right? You can only tie it up for so long, then it's got to move on because somebody's going to close that deal. So why not you?
Mitch, I love that you said this about mindset. Like you almost gave me goosebumps because what you described is very near and dear to me. I've now invested in 2 investment properties, and then I have my principal residence. But you brought me right back to the day that I purchased my very first new build condo, and I had helped at that point probably 350 to 400 people actually take the leap of faith and do that themselves, purchase a new build condo. And I remember helping them sign the documents, helping them fill out the checks. And I remember them being so nervous. But now that I was in that seat, I remember my hand was shaking, and and it's one thing to help other people. It's one thing to be educated, to know that you should do something or that something can help you build wealth. It's a whole other thing to actually do it, to actually take that step. And sign the documents and hand over the check of all that hard-earned money that you've worked so hard for. And so I love that, because more than anything, it's about the mindset around it. And I hear that with all of our clients. So I think that's such a great topic of conversation. That brings me to another point, Mitch, and we didn't speak about this, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but can you tell us a little bit about your investing journey? Like, what are some of the investments you have? I'm sure you'll end up talking about them in more detail in the many episodes to come, and depending on some of your guests. But I would love to hear a little brief summary about some of the things you've purchased.
No pressure, Laura. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that story, though, because that's exactly what a lot of people go through. And so for me, I would bring a lot of resource in that respect. The invited guest, as we grow this podcast, is going to talk about that journey, talk about how did they overcome that nervousness, So totally agree with you. In terms of the real estate side of the investment, I mean, that journey started a long time ago for me and my wife. We both actually love doing real estate, and we feel like today we're just beginning. But we do have a fair amount of properties under our belt, from single family homes to commercial buildings. We're going into land development as well. So we're quite diversified, but I'm very strategic in how I pick my projects, because it's got to resonate with me. It's got to resonate with the fact that that we want to grow and develop. So like I say, overall portfolio, we're looking at residential homes. We're looking at pre-construction condominiums. We're looking at apartment buildings, mixed-use buildings. We're looking at land development and construction. So that's the area that we're in right now, and we're looking to continue to grow that real estate. And to be honest, Laura, I feel like our journey has just started. We're probably well over $10 million in total assets so far. But like I say, the journey is just beginning for us, and there's so much exciting strategies to get into and to build and to grow, and so many people to connect with in this real estate space that are doing amazing things. So really looking forward to that journey, But like I say, the biggest piece for me as well is I also love coaching and development, and I've invested in that as well. I've done my certifications. I continue to work with a lot of the leaders in this space so that I can develop myself, and then I can share that with my people as well, or the people that follow me. Happy to help, happy to grow and develop that side of it as well. Because again, it's about information sharing. So the investments in terms of real estate continues to grow. The investments in terms of people skills and mindset and working with the positivity continues to grow as well. So I'm invested in both channels.
It's so interesting that you described yourself as at the beginning of your journey, because based on everything you've said, it sounds like you have so much of experience and that you're very, very busy. Like you're up to a lot of things. I'm kind of curious as to why you decided to take on yet another project. Like, why did you want to start producing content, and why a podcast specifically? What was it that drew you to that?
You know what, Laura? I've spent so much years listening to podcasts and learning from it and growing that it only felt natural to get into the space. As well, if you think about, if you think about building a home, there's building blocks, right? So each block supports each other. And I think that this is a natural segue in order to stay connected with people, let them know what's going on, share information, because again, you're not always able to connect one-on-one. And so this is really the greatest tool we have available to connect with people, to really share our insights and really get them to understand some key points. There are things that I would learn and I can put it on the podcast and share. There are so many people who have such amazing stories to share in terms of their success, in terms of mindset, in terms of development. And I'm sure that they'll be happy to share that so we can provide it to our audience and let them learn, share, and grow. So that's kind of like why I'm coming into the space as well. And I feel like this gives me more consistency. It'll give me a better presence with people, and they can learn in a much more open forum, so to speak.
So your listeners and your viewers, what can they expect from the podcast in terms of the types of guests you're going to have on, as well as how often they're going to be able to tune in to hear all the great tips and advice that they have to give?
Well, Laura, that's a good question. And I'll tell you my thoughts right now. Really and truly, this is our starting point. It will evolve and grow, but more importantly is what are the viewers looking for? Because if you give me your comments, if you share your notes with me, we can answer questions, we can get the right people in place to really help make this an organic growth. My thought right now is to bring in members and audiences that are doing the same journey and they're on the same path with us, where they're building their real estate. They started literally from scratch or from nothing, or they just had this vision and then they continue to build it and grow it. And so I'm happy to bring them on and help share that story and just get it evolved. But on the flip side, it's not just on the investment side. It's like, how did you do it? What allowed you to basically sign on that dotted line? Like you said, Laura, you were pretty nervous when you realized you're writing $25,000, $40,000 checks, right?
Oh yeah.
it is a nerve-wracking experience. But what did you do? What did you think? How did you really overcome that moment when you could have been simply close back in and say, you know what, this is not for me, I'm not ready yet? So for me, it's like, how did you do that? How did you overcome the paralysis that many of us face? So that's where I really want to get into exploring that with people, really get into the root of their story, understand where did they start. Maybe they started from nothing. Maybe they're new to the country. Maybe they're new to a particular region and they just made that decision and then they held to the decision. They opened up to commitments to themselves as a starting point. So I want to capture that. I want to bring that out in this journey, in this podcast. So it's not really giving lessons, so to speak. It's more like sharing. Let's talk, let's have conversations, let's share, and let's evolve and grow together. That's kind of like what my thought process is as we build out this podcast.
I absolutely love this topic of conversation because it can take you in so many different places. And like you said, at the end of the day, it really starts with the mindset. There's a lot of emotion involved in making these types of moves. I'll just tell you my brief story, because maybe that's going to help the first couple listeners. So for me, what helped me was honestly surrounding myself with like-minded people. So I knew I wanted to start investing into real estate. I believed in it. I'm born and raised in the GTA, and I've seen what has happened to home prices over the course of my 36 years. And I was like, damn, like, had I only purchased something when I was 20 or 25 or when I was 30, and I never had. And it was probably because I hadn't surrounded myself with the right types of people. And so I started educating myself by being simply around other people who were investing. I was a regular real estate agent, kind of working my own book of business, farming a neighborhood, helping people more with their the buy or sell of their principal residence. No one was really talking about investing in real estate. And it wasn't until I started working with an investment focused real estate team that I started having conversations with people like you.
Mhm.
And
Right.
it was you guys who really inspired me, because I'm sitting here and all I ever heard from people was, oh, Laura, I wish I had done it at your age. I wish I had done it when I was 35. I'm 50 now and I'm only doing it now, but I'm still so glad I'm doing it. I just wish I had done it sooner. And that, you hear that enough times and you start to think, okay, I guess I should take these people advice. They clearly know what they're talking about. And so when I actually got to the point where I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I want to buy something, I made sure I worked with people who knew what they were doing, real estate agents who knew the project. Luckily, I happened to work for some of the best real estate agents in the country. So that was helpful. And they pointed me in the right direction, and I knew they had my back. I actually brought them to the sales center to help me sign for it. I didn't go by myself. I brought them along with me there. I was like, you're coming with me.
Nice.
And they were like literally holding my hand, like helping me sign, because I was so nervous. And they had seen how hard I worked for that money over the last couple of years to save it, right? So they knew that this was a big deal. And so if I had any advice for anybody, it would be to really surround yourself with people who believe in it. You're never going to convince everybody of anything that you want to do. So if you're hoping to change your career, you're hoping to purchase real estate, you're hoping to, I don't know, become the next best soccer player, whatever it is, you need to surround yourself with people who believe in that for you, because there's going to be so many naysayers, and you're going to learn very, very quickly along the way that people are going to start giving you all the reasons why you shouldn't. And a lot of times it's not because they don't want you to succeed. It's because they're scared themselves, because a lot of the great things are outside people's comfort zones, right? And so I think if you can surround yourself with like-minded people, listen to podcasts like yours, Mitch, where people are being educated, and people are sharing these very intimate stories about how they overcame some of those roadblocks,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the best step forward.
You know,
So that's
Laura,
my story.
yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I remember us having the conversation. That was several years ago, and I'm happy you took the plunge. But you're saying something that's incredibly powerful. So here's the thing, though. People can only give you advice based on what we call their reference files, meaning that they have experience or exposure in a certain area. And that is when you ask them a question, that's what the mind does. It goes and looks through the files. It finds the related answer or experience from either their own experiences or people that they've spoken to. And they can only share that with you. So the saying, you don't know what you don't know, is absolutely true. So if you want to grow, if you want to build yourself up, as you're saying, you need to get in proximity with those who have done it and are able to walk you through. Too many times, too many times. People are associating with people who have not done real estate investment and asking them their advice. Well, obviously, they're going to tell you it doesn't work. Why? They have no reference files to give you that advice that you need. But if I come and I talk to some of the guys that you work with in the real estate world that was holding your hands, and I say, okay, I'm ready to buy the 20-unit apartment building, they're going to say, yep, let's do it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are the steps you need to take. So association is really critical. And when you're on this journey for self-development, you naturally start to filter out people that will not give you the advice you need and start to associate yourself. And all you need is people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, right? And sometimes those are the best people, because sometimes you look at the really successful people, the billionaires or what have you, and you feel like they're out of reach. So you get a disconnect. But then when you're talking to the average guy like you and me, well, maybe I'm
Who
only
you
worth
call an
5 million.
average?
What's that?
I said, who you call an average?
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, we're not average. But let's say you're dealing with somebody who's worth 500,000. Then you just need to talk to the guy who's 1 million or the girl who's 1 million. Why? Because they'll help you get there, because they're closer to the journey that you are on. And so then you feel it's achievable. So Love the fact that you're sharing that. You know, ideally, yes, build your tribe of people that are going to uplift you, that have the expertise and the experience. And you know what? Even though everybody's busy, when you ask somebody who's been successful to share, they're more than willing to in most cases. Why? Because it's inside of them. It's a success story. And if they can share that, that's what life is about. It's about sharing and caring, right? So you reach out to the right group of people, the energy is there, the learning is there, and you feel that comfort level to journey on because you're seeing them do it, right? So it's just like a baby. They look at you, they learn to talk. They look at you, they learn to walk. So we're doing the same thing, just a little bit differently.
It's so interesting that you said people love to share. It's so true from all the experience of the guests I've had on podcasts. People, they're more than willing to give you the whole playbook of everything they've done. So it really just needs people to ask the right questions and put yourself out there. And if someone says no, they want to hold the cards to them chest, then that's okay. You'll find somebody else who is definitely more than willing to share and to guide you and to like bring you along for the ride. You'd be surprised. Mitch, speaking of sharing, I want people to share this podcast, this show with their friends, with their family. Where can people find either the audio podcast or the videos for this show?
Oh, nice. You know what, Laura? That's exactly what this is about. It's about the sharing. So we're going to be across all of the podcast platforms. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Instagram. Basically, you know, all of the handles that's in the notes would be posted there for you guys to check us out. And, you know, invite your friends because, again, this is content that's being made available to everybody. It's based on our experiences and our guest experiences. And we just want to build a community of people that can learn more and grow more. So we're going to be pretty much available everywhere in the social media space.
Mitch, I have probably been on maybe 75 podcast episodes, if not more, maybe over 100 at this point. And
Nice.
I've helped over 13 people, excuse me, not over 13, exactly 13 people start a podcast or start their own YouTube show. I have met with many, many hosts. I've been featured on 24 other people's podcasts. And I have to say, this being your first podcast, I'm just so delighted because you have such a unique perspective. The topic that you're talking about, I think, can touch a lot of people across a lot of different industries.
Yeah.
And just I've known you for a long time. I absolutely love you. You're so charismatic. The camera loves you. And I'm just so excited for you to start this new venture. I love that you took the bull by the horns here, just like you did with your investing. You're starting a new venture, and that can be scary for everyone. And you're going forward with it no matter what. And so I just want to congratulate you on taking this first step of the next step along your journey. And I wish you all the success.
Laura, thank you very much. You know what? It's been a pleasure having you co-host with me in this particular startup, let's say. I do look forward to, to growing and seeing where this journey takes us. But I'm really excited about the social media plan. And I'm really excited about what the things we can do, the things we can share with all our members. And again, I really hope that people share their comments because, again, from the comments, we can provide answers, we can get feedback, we can build, grow, and develop. So, here's to wishing everyone great success. And again, Laura, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.